Hey, folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. Let me ask you a question. Are there better pieces of equipment or training modalities to use than other training modalities or pieces of equipment based on where a client or where you're at in your training itself, like your training experience? As a for instance, if you're a new client, is it better to use free weights or machines? If you're an advanced client, if you're an athlete, does it make more sense to use training modalities? I don't know, like a TRX, just as a for instance, bands. How about the Bosu ball, the stability ball? Which one is better? Or is there a preference? Does it make more sense to use a piece of equipment over another piece of equipment? Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about in this video, is to give you a little bit of help here when it comes to determining or deciding what type of equipment you should be using for your particular type of clients or even for yourself. So the first question, when I first started training many years ago, we didn't have a whole lot of different pieces of equipment. Now, look, we had equipment, obviously, and we had free weights. So we had dumbbells, we had barbells, but the exercise equipment that we used, for leg extensions, leg curls, things like that, were pretty standard and they worked really well. We had basic cable equipment, right? So if you're doing push downs or if you were doing pull downs, for instance, and we had a lot of that equipment, obviously. So it was normally a question between, well, which is better, free weights, i.e., dumbbells, barbells, or machines? And the answer that I always heard when I first started, and that I realized as I continued to train people, was it doesn't matter. That's why today we call it resistance training. We don't call it free weight training. We don't call it machine training. It's known as resistance training. And the answer to the question is that it really doesn't matter what you use. What's more important is the technique, and the goal that the client has. So bench presses are a great exercise for anybody, whether it's a new client or an advanced athlete. But are you going to do a standard barbell bench presses with an individual, for instance, that has a shoulder issue? Probably not. You're probably going to rethink that, right? You might go with dumbbells, for instance, right? Because you have better movement pattern variation than with a standard barbell. But that individual with a shoulder issue could be a new client or an advanced athlete. So it depends on the person. But the answer to the question, and really what I want you to take from this video, is that it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're doing the exercises correctly from a kinesiological, right, and biomechanical perspective. You can hurt somebody using cables. You really could, if you don't know what you're doing and they're doing the movement fast or the extended range of motion. Cables can be very dangerous. Bench presses with a barbell, as I was saying before, can be one of the best exercises you ever do with that 65-year-old client that has never worked out with weights before. I've done it all the time. I use, for the most part, any equipment or any type of modality that I feel is appropriate for that individual. But deciding whether or not free weights are, quote, better than or not as good as machines or cables, is really asking the wrong question. Remember, it's based on the functional capability of the individual and what their goals are. So for the most part, what I say is use all the different modalities that you have at hand. And by the way, isn't that another situation you have to contend with? What if you're training people outside of your garage or out of your garage, and all you have are dumbbells and some bands? Maybe you have a medicine ball, right? A soft medicine ball or whatever the case is. Maybe all you have are some free weights, a barbell, and some battle ropes. Well, they're very different types of training exercise equipment, but you can and have a great workout with an individual, even with just those two pieces of equipment, like a barbell with some weights and a battle rope. You can also hurt somebody because you're not training them correctly biomechanically on machines. Yes, even on standard machines like a leg extension, leg curl, leg presses, which I don't recommend you do anyway. Leg presses are are a no-go exercise. But the point is that it's based on you, the trainer, or you doing the exercise. Doesn't matter if it's a cable, free weight, or a machine. If you do the exercise too quickly, too fast, you could break through the different elements of the range of motion. You could hurt somebody or hurt yourself. So keep that in mind when you're making decisions. Always look at the piece of equipment as viable. It's probably going to be fine as long as you're doing it correctly, biomechanically, understanding the kinesiology of the joints and how they're going to function while you're doing that movement. And the other thing to keep in mind is the total amount of resistance that you're using as well. So I hope this was helpful. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you know when all the new material is coming out, and ask us questions. Leave comments for us below. Let us know if this material is helpful to you, and then ask a question. And of course, we can help and assist as well. As always, have a great weekend. Take care.